To see the world in a grain of sand, or a heaven in a wild flower, grasp infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. So said William Blake, one of the foremost poets, thinkers, philosophers, and artists of the Romantic movement. Now, what does William Blake here mean in his poetry? What does an artist in general mean in his or her artwork? That's the fundamental question of art, of experiencing it and studying it, and I would say even doing it. Now, the word art, if you go to, for example, Webster's dictionary, is defined in perhaps a slightly awkward way to our ears as knowledge made efficient by the use of skill. Now, I'm going to say something. To understand art, we have to understand philosophy. Art and philosophy go hand in hand. In fact, I would say they are one and the same thing. They're different parts of the same continuous stream. Now, that might sound a bit weird. It's like, okay, no, philosophy is something theoretical. Philosophy is about thinking. It's inside of here. Art is something, it's clearly doing, it's outside of here. It's actually making things, painting or drawing or sculpting. How can philosophy and art be one and the same thing? Well, it's precisely in that continuum. Philosophy is about thinking. Everyone has a philosophy. It's not about being abstract or systematic or complicated. It's about how do you feel? What do you think? What did William Blake feel and think? What was his philosophy when he said to see the world in a grain of sand? To see heaven in a wild flower? What was he meaning? In any artwork, we have to understand the philosophy from whence the art issued. Art is knowledge, that philosophy, those ideas made efficient, and that is manifested by the use of skill, artistic technique. And the word art in Latin literally means an idea of skill. Art, in its original signification, the way everyone has understood it for most of humanity, is not a separate discipline, not something that you do, but a part of everything. Everything we do has an art, just like everything we do has a philosophy. And that's the key to understanding, especially pre-modern art, especially lines like William Blake or Shakespeare, or really understanding Renaissance paintings, especially going back to the classical world and understanding what did these Greek statues actually mean, what do cave paintings mean. It all goes back to the philosophy, the ideas of the person who made it. And not just the person, but the civilization, the culture, the society, the religion, the mythology, all of this is one connected spectrum. Now, the idea of the imagination is perhaps the central idea in art, especially when it comes to William Blake and the movement he occupied called the Romantics, which is really a Platonic movement. And I would say that the deepest and most profound philosopher when it comes to art, not just the philosophy of art, but art itself, doing art, is Plato, who's perhaps the most influential thinker. Platonic ideas, the most influential ideas to artists. That feeling, forget about philosophy, forget about, abstract thought. No, the feeling, which truly, that's the true meaning of philosophy, of Plato, of William Blake, is that beneath the sensible texture of the world, beneath the things we see, there's so much more that we feel. We see a grain of sand. To see the world in a grain of sand, we see a grain of sand, but we feel a world, a universe inside of it. It's that childlike, ecstatic sense of wonder with the infinite, the unseen, that there's so much more which informs reality, structures it. The sense of the divine, the transcendent, the sublime, the sense of ecstatic rapture. That's the emotion of William Blake, which he felt, his idea, his philosophy, which he made efficient by the use of skill. And the first artwork, I would say, is poetry. The first things humans do is speak. And therefore that speech, the communication of ideas in words, is the first art. And that's what all of art is. Art is communicating an idea. An idea is not just a dispassionate, disinterested thought. No, it is the emotion. Communicating that idea, emotion, feeling, passion through some material thing that you're working over, whether it's a painting or a sculpture and so on and so forth. William Blake, many artists were occupying this Platonic tradition, which moves between the world of ideas These are the two worlds in the Platonic conception. There's an unseen matrix and world of ideas, and there's a seen world of experience. That's the tradition which people like William Blake are inhabiting.